I was going to do a whole video about all of the spirit monsters, but my last video was 22 minutes long, and my throat can barely handle 10, and that would probably take me 40 minutes if I did all the spirits, so I'll just stick with some of them. The Shinobird archetype. It is winged beast spirit monsters. They all share similar effects. Of course, they can't be special summoned. During the end phase of the turn, they're normal or flipped face up. They are returned to the hand. Then they all have their own unique effect. Crane has the unique effect of once per turn. If another spirit monster is normal or special summoned, you get to draw a card. Special summoned, they must have just included that by accident. Then we have Pigeon, who again has the spirit effects, but makes so once per turn, you can target another of your spirit monsters and return it to the hand. But they all return the hand anyway, so that's not really that important. Then we have Crow, that has all the normal spirit effects, but during the once per turn during the damage step, you can discard a spirit monster, and this card gains attack and defense equal to that thing's attack and defense until the end of the battle phase. Unfortunately, it's a 0/0 monster, so it's not going to be too strong. And that's all of our monsters. Wait, what's this? A ritual monster? But it's still a spirit, but ritual monsters can't be special summoned. That's right, this archetype is special. It has unique cards. Unique ritual cards that are spirits. I think they're the only special summoning method. Oh, Tiny Baron here makes it so if it's banished during the next standby phase, it comes back. If it's special summoned this turn, it comes back. It is considered to be Big Baron while on the field, and it takes Shinobird calling to summon it. It has its unique effect being you contribute it to add a ritual spell and a spirit monster from your deck to your hand. But why does it have a banish effect? It doesn't have anything involving banishing itself, and maybe one of the other cards do. Oops. Like Tiny Baroness, who has all pretty much the same effects, can summon itself back from being banished, returns to the hand during the end phase, gets there to be Big Baroness, and takes Shinobird calling to summon it. But her unique effect is if it's virtual summoned, you can add any spell trap from your deck to your hand that mentions spirit monsters in its text. So one of them lets you virtual summon, and the other one lets you get out any card you want. Big Baron here has to be summoned with Shinobird calling, must be ritual summoned, and can be special summoned by other ways. Well, that usually doesn't ever matter. If this card is ritual summoned, you can return up to 3 monsters your opponent controls to the hand. Then you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower spirit monster from your hand, ignoring summoning conditions. 1 second. Alright, I just checked. The then conjunction in Yu-Gi-Oh! Means A has to happen, then B is allowed to happen. If your A is you return your opponent's monsters to the hand, it means you have to be able to return your opponent's monsters to the hand to be able to do B. B, in this case, is special summon any level 4 or lower spirit monster from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions. Yep, you heard that right. You can special summon spirits. And because they weren't normal summon or flip face up, they don't get returned to your hand. So this card just breaks the entire spirit mechanic, which you sort of need to do because spirits suck. However, with it, you sort of have to go second because your opponent won't have any cards in the field for you to return if you go first. It does have another effect, where during the end phase of the turn that's summoned, you return to the hand and summon 2 tokens. You can see the token stats. Now, Baroness, Big Baroness anyway, is pretty much the exact same, but returns spell traps and summons a spirit from the deck, ignoring summoning conditions, of course. Then summons the exact same tokens. Now it's time to go into that ritual spell we've been talking about. You summon Baron or Baroness, and you must also tribute monsters from your hand or field, and or banish spirit monsters from your graveyard. Ooh. Now you see why Little Baron and Little Baroness have that effect to get summoned back after being banished. Because now you can use those to summon this. Also, the total level equal or exceed the level of the monster you want to summon, which is really fun. I hate when ritual cards are all about blah blah blah. You have to equal the exact number. That's synchro summoning. If I'm doing ritual summoning, I want to exceed the number. Well, exceed is something different. Next card is Shinobird Power Spot. It gives all of my spirit monsters 500 attack and defense. A good way to start a card. If a face-up wind monster you control returns to the hand, you can add a spirit monster or ritual spell from your deck to your hand. Unfortunately, you only do that once per turn. So, you get a pretty easy way to just add a new spirit to your hand every turn. Because you're going to for sure add cards to your hand from your wind monsters to your hand every turn. Because that's sort of what the spirit deck does. Next, we got a field spell. What it does is it lets you ritual summon any wind ritual monster by trading spirit monsters or Shinobird tokens from your field, whose total level equals or exceeds the ritual monster you wish to summon. But unfortunately, you can only do that once per turn. Soft once per turn, so I guess if you have multiple copies, you can just keep going. But it's not technically a ritual spell, so you can't get Little Baron to summon it. Add it to your hand, I mean. Which sucks, because you're going to want to use this, get rid of one of these birds, to go into... I don't know where Little Baron is. Go into Little Baron, and then use his effect, add yourself a ritual monster, and the ritual spell, which is this, and it's the ritual monster you're going to add to your hand. It's probably going to be Baron or Baroness, depending on whatever your opponent has. Then use your ritual spell, banish the bird and big Little Baron from your graveyard, summon out the big Baron or big Baroness from your hand. Now you get to get rid of some of your opponent's cards, and you get to summon something from your deck or hand, depending on what you have. And then during the end phase, it goes to your hand. You get some tokens. You have to summon back your Little Baron to your field during the opponent's standby phase, and then during your opponent's end phase, if it's still around, it gets added back to your hand. So during your turn, you'll be allowed to use your field spell to go and use one of your tokens to summon out Little Baron, and then Little Baron goes into another of the Big Baron or Big Baroness. Unfortunately, so far, what the deck would do is that's really interruptible. It's pretty easy to stop, and the amount of interruptions it actually has is non-existing. You just have to hope to... I'm trying to think. Hope to roll that you actually be able to properly handle your combo. This also has two more effects. If a wind monster is returned to your hand, you can activate one of these following effects. Unfortunately, you can only do this twice per turn, but there's no restriction on saying that you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. So you can use both of them. You can use the same one twice. You can either add one of your ritual monsters or ritual spells that is banished or in the graveyard to your hand, or set one this trap card from your deck. It makes so you reveal one ritual monster in your hand, and you can add a ritual monster with a different level, but the same level but a different name from your deck to your hand. Cool, it's generic. You can manage this card from your graveyard and send one ritual spell from your hand to the graveyard. This replaces that card's effect. Now, it doesn't technically say it has to be part of Shinobird, but look at the card art, and its name is said inside of another card that is a part of the Shinobird archetype. Well, finally, for the Shinobird archetype, I know you can see 4 more cards. Don't worry about that. If a face-up spirit monster you control is returned in the hand, you can, except during the damage step, you can target a card your opponent controls to destroy it. Not bad. It's targeted destruction. Not the best kind of removal, but it's removal. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish one spirit monster from your graveyard to end the battle phase. You also get to negate the attack, of course. But unfortunately, like I've said, this deck, it does stuff. It can get into yourself a loop pretty easily, and well, let's just say that it doesn't really do anything. Sure, you can get rid of some of your opponent's cards, but what if you're the one going first? And it'll be really easy for your opponent just to make you go first, realizing that they don't really have a way around it. Well, you don't have a way around it. So, what can you do? Play non-Shinobirds, like this guy, who is a spirit monster, normal spirit monster effects, but while it's on the field, monsters can't activate their effects except spirit monsters. Yep, you heard that right. It's a floodgate. So if you use Big Baron or Big Baroness to summon it, it won't get returned to your hand and will just stop your opponent from summoning using the monster effects. And don't forget, normally monster attack doesn't really matter when it's a small number like 1,900. But when it's a floodgate like this, it actually does matter. Because now, your opponent has to make a monster that's at least 1,900 without special summoning just to be able to get rid of this card. And that's not an easy task. We also have Garagarasu. Now this is a joke mostly. You can Yada lock your opponent, which if this thing hits your opponent during the next turn, your opponent's not allowed to draw a card. It's mostly just a joke, but it is a winged beast. Wait, what? It's a fiend? Huh? Anyway, next up, Sakitama. Spirit, of course, can be special summoned, and its return to the hand during the end phase of the turn's normal face up has its effects of you can reveal this card in your hand immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon one spirit monster from your hand. If this card is tributed, target one spirit monster from your graveyard, add it to your hand. Yup, you heard that right. Tribute it. Exactly the thing that ritual decks want to do. And this thing is a spirit monster. So you can get more normal summons if you use it for Little Baron. I don't. It doesn't say you can't target itself, so you can just target itself. Add it to your hand. Now you got tons more resources, especially because you have Nakitama, who is return the hand, can be special summoned, blah blah blah, and you can normal summon one spirit monster in addition to your normal summon. And if this card's in the graveyard, you could draw a card. You must control spirit monster, activate, and resolve this effect. With these two cards, you actually get to help your consistency. If you ritual summon with either of these, you just get more cards, and they help you normal summon more cards. If you use Saki, then Saki can just, and they're all level 4s by the way, so you can use both of them to go into a Big Baron or Big Baroness. Unfortunately, the main part of the deck, the Big Baron and Big Baroness, still can't really do much. Like I said, your opponent needs cards on their field just to be able to summon stuff from the deck in hand. But if your opponent has nothing, then you're just out of luck. And then if your opponent does have stuff for you to get rid of, which, remember, it's for Baroness, it's you get to shuffle their spell and traps, and for Baron, it's their you get to return their monsters to the hand. So it's pretty good removal. It's just slow. It's not something you could do during your opponent's turn. It can only be done during your turn. If they released a continuous spell that said something like, I don't know, you could have ritual summon during your opponent's turn, or a trap card that lets you ritual summon during your opponent's turn. Where is it? This one. It's a trap card, so it's great for an effect I'm pretty sure you can use during your opponent's turn. So you can just ritual summon during your opponent's turn now. And now, because during your opponent's turn, you actually have Little Baron or Little Baroness on the field, you can use them. Down in the grave, blah blah blah. Although, you'd probably rather not use those. The Little Baron or Little Baroness, you can get a little bit of disruption in every once in a while. But I still don't think the deck really does enough. It's something that can definitely be really fun. It can be fun to actually use spirit monsters. Who did use spirit monsters? It was Noah Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. I forgot what it was called, and he used them pretty successfully. And with this, you can even become even more successful, because they're better than pretty much every kind of spirit monster that's ever been released so far. But they're not better than anything else that has been released, pretty much. But what would be better is if you top deck the subscribe button. It's only right there. And you're only missing one piece of Exodia. You can draw the last piece of Exodia right now. Ooh, no. That's at a ghost. Yikes. You drew a fake Karibo. Good luck next time.